We're just going to explain the mind and how to get free from it, get free from the voices. We all have voices in our mind. We all have scenarios of, man, I should have done that. I should have said that. I should have. And then next time I see that person, this is going to happen and I'm going to respond this way. And that's the way it's probably going to plan out. And I better get my story straight with myself before it ever even happens. And worry about something before it even happens. And we all know it usually turns out nothing like what we were planning on and worrying about, and we usually end up having a pretty good time if we just surrender to the moment. And also explaining that being in the moment is awareness, and that only awareness can be aware. And in the book The Greatest Secret, basically awareness is just being connected to, in the right mind, and connected to source energy. And that's what awareness is you are so in the moment and taking it in and being fully aware that all of the petty distractions are just blinded out with the beauty around you. And then you enjoy the moment and it unfolds in front of you like an artichoke. I mean, a lotus. Okay. Chapter 5 from The Greatest Secret. It isn't necessary for the mind to be quiet. All that matters is that you not listen to what it's saying as if it were true. So let's sink that into our brain here, our mind, telling our mind that what it's saying is not true. Relax your forehead and don't try to resist that. None of this is real. What's real is right now. This is all. Relax your forehead and don't resist. All that's real is this moment. And if you could fully throw yourself into the moment, all pains, all actions against us, everything that we carried with us up until this moment, we have to let go so that we can take in the awareness. And they go away. So if you're caught up in your mind, bring your gaze up to the horizon and look around with an open mind, not judging, labeling, measuring, or describing the moment, just being in the moment with this open mind. Let's relax that forehead a little more, concentrating on the third eye. Your intuition, the part of you that actually sees all the beauty around. But you have to keep it open. You have to keep it clear so that the messages can come through and the visions. So think about your third eye in the middle of your eyebrows and relax your eyebrows so that you're not putting any resistance energy on your third eye. Relax the eyebrows and forehead. Helping yourself to see things more clearly. I'm going to relax the eyes, the muscles behind the eyes, the eyelids. Feel the rest of your face softening up, just relaxing as you're melting your forehead and eyebrows and eyes and eyelids. Let it just melt on down the rest of your face and relax your cheeks, your jaws, your lips, the muscles beside your lips, your tongue, and the floor of your mouth. Just feel your face and your forehead, just everything relaxed. And breathe freely. Feel the air going into your sinuses. Relaxing your jaw. Coming to the back of your head where it's resting on your pillows. Just bring your attention there to the connection that it's making to the pillows. Feel your head or your hair in between. Just get that into the feeling of the back of your head, that you're just being very aware. And relax down the back of your neck. Feel the pillow supporting you. Just try to relax the muscles in the neck. Betty's probably really feeling the back of her neck with her pokey pillow. Just an ideal thing to do when your body is on one of these pokey pillows and mats is to relax the muscles, because we clench up when we're touching something pokey. But if you can relax, it does magical things. Relaxing the tops of your shoulders. Feel like the back of your neck and the sides of your neck melting. Somebody's rubbing them with strong thumbs, and your neck is like wax going down the neck and shoulders, smoothing out the muscles, releasing tension. So really relaxing your upper body. Coming down both your arms, relax the shoulders and the biceps and triceps. Feel them just hanging off the bones. Notice the relaxed bend in your elbows, your forearms. Just noticing how your wrists are bent and how your hands are laying relaxed. And just breathe up and down your arms, a relaxing breath. Relax your arms more with the exhale. Relaxing your chest and your shoulder blades, and feeling the breath go in between. Feel your ribs rising and expanding, and relax them with that exhale. Relaxing the muscles in the low back. in the hips and pelvis and your glutes. Relaxing your belly and just letting your organs finally start running smoothly. Now that your body is relaxing, everything can work at its optimum level here. Relaxing down your thighs. Feel your quads and your hams just jelly. Relax your knees. Notice the bend or how straight. Your shins and calves. The calves are just hanging off the shins. They're so relaxed. Your ankles and your flopped over feet. Just take a breath from your feet up to the top of your head. And exhale, take that breath all the way down to the feet. And drop another breath right up through the middle. And relax the whole body with your exhale. And we're going to go back to understanding the mind now that the body is relaxed. Now that we know where we're going. Just knowing that whatever the mind is saying to you is not true. Your mind is an amazing tool to create your life exactly as you want it to be. It's a tool to create your life, not to worry, not to repeat a bunch of old tapes. It's meant to create your life as you want it. It's not your psychoanalyst or your therapist, yet we give it that kind of authority over us when we listen to it and believe all its thoughts as though they were true. This is one habit of believing our own thoughts robs us of being able to live in the magnificence and glory of our true nature, awareness. We are prevented from having a life of constant happiness and a life where everything we need falls into our hands at the perfect time. We are prevented from having a life of constant happiness and a life where everything we need falls into our hands at the perfect time if we're listening to our mind. Humanity has suffered too much for too long because of our minds. It's time to delegate our mind to its rightful place so that it is no longer the dictator of our life. When we no longer live from and through the mind, we will begin to live from our true self awareness, and our life will truly become heaven on earth, free of suffering and negativity. I love that you'll see it as heaven on earth, and everything will just happen effortlessly. It would just come across your plate right in front of you, right when you need it, right? That just the universe will be taking care of you. And if your mind isn't full of chatter, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this good? Is this bad? When you're in awareness, you're at neutrality. You're not labeling or judging, you're just accepting. And you see heaven all around you. You will see everything just unfold and see how effortless it is. Every problem perceived to be out there is really nothing more than a misrepresentation or a misperception within your own thinking. So that's the judging, the labeling, that's perceiving. I perceive this as good for me, or I perceive this as bad for me. If it's in front of you, it's for you. It's not against you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you to embrace and love and welcome. Or else it wouldn't be showing itself to you. The most powerful way to remove negativity is to recognize that you are not the mind. Once realized, negativity has nothing to hook onto. It dissolves by itself. Most people believe that negative situations come from the outside of them, and they believe that it's either people, circumstances, or events in the world that have caused the negative situations in their life. But it's nothing. But nothing is inherently good or bad, as Shakespeare told us. There is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It's your thoughts about a person, circumstance, or event that's the source of the negative situations in your life. It's your thoughts. Not the actual person, circumstance, or event. And so understanding a little of how the mechanics work of your mind will help free you from its erroneous negative judgments. And then you can use it for what it's intended for, to create the life you want. Thinking was made to order what you want, not to indulge in it. The mind is there to receive the order and make it appear to you. So whatever you keep thinking about is going to keep appearing. Thinking isn't needed for anything else because everything else is taken care of by awareness. If you would only, from this moment on, see what you want, that is all that you would get. But you hold in mind the things you don't want, and you struggle to eliminate the things you don't want, thereby sustaining them, keeping them around. What you resist will persist. So it's necessary to let go of the negative and put in the positive if you want a positive, happy life. So this was the part for the person who I was working with the voices in the mind. I read this next part to her, and then I read on a whole nother page, and she says, now wait a minute. If the mind is not in the brain, where is it? And so I came back to this part. What exactly is your mind? First, it's important to understand that your mind is not your brain. Your brain doesn't think. Scientists have not been able to find a thought in the brain. They can only see electrical activity caused by thoughts. Thinking comes from the mind. Your mind is made up entirely of thought. If there's no current thought, there's no mind. And that's a big thing. We always say, I'm not the mind, I'm not the body. I'm not the mind, I'm not the body. There is no mind. It's as simple as that. Your mind can't even hold two thoughts at one time. You know that is impossible to truly listen to a conversation and read something on your phone at the same time. Your mind can't multitask as much as you might believe it can. So if we can only think one thought at a time, do we want to think a good thought or do we want to think a bad thought? What energy would feed us better? Negative vibrations, holding on to them in our body, or holding on to positive vibrations, the good stuff. Which direction would your life go? Can only think one thought at a time. If your mind is reeling, stop it. Look around, look up at the horizon, see what's around you. Don't label it, don't judge it, just look and come back to awareness. However, a single thought, whether positive or negative, becomes a powerhouse when you believe it. This is the part. Once you start believing these thoughts, if you'd prefer to suffer, go on believing your stressful thoughts. But if you'd rather be happy, question them. Most people believe their own thoughts as though they were facts, which explains why life is stressful and challenging for so many. No one pointed out to us that our thoughts are just mental noise and that they are not reality. However, if we choose to believe our thoughts, they will become our reality. Mind is the great manifester of our physical life, and it will manifest any and all thoughts we believe, whether they're positive or negative, whether they're thoughts of what we want or what we don't want. Positive thoughts are not harmful to your life because they are close to your true nature. It's negative thoughts that are the cause of our stress and suffering. And so we need to become particularly aware of the negative thoughts. Oh, there they are again. What will I get more of if I think about it? Because our mind is mechanical, negative thinking can easily become a fixed pattern. If you then listen to and identify with the negative thoughts, you will be drawn in and become lost in your thoughts as though in a hypnotic trance. Your thoughts will constantly take you into your head and away from what's actually happening in the world around you in this moment right now. You believe that you are your mind. This is the delusion. The instrument has taken you over. It's as though we're playing a virtual reality game and we've forgotten that we have a headset on. Because of the challenging circumstances in the virtual reality world, we're stressed and suffering. But if we would just take the headset off, we would realize that the virtual reality world is not real. So it is with our thoughts. When we believe our thoughts, we're immediately caught in an imaginary mind-made movie that's playing inside our head, and we're no longer experiencing the world as it really is. All thoughts are lies. The only truth is what is aware of them. Awareness does the observing. Thought does the judging. I'm reading another book called The Course in Miracles Experiment by Pam Grout. And she's got this quote about the mind, and she says, "My mind was judging and," how did she say it? "My mind was judging and labeling like it was getting paid for it. Like my mind thought it was Simon Cowell, like it could judge everything. And and it thinks it's getting paid for it. That's so funny to me. It's all just thoughts. You can't find the mind in the body. It's not in the brain. It's just electrical activity that you're making up. It's illusion. It's not real. The only thing that's real is what is happening right now. And the awareness of it. So freeing. Thoughts are also responsible for causing our feelings. And then, in turn, those feelings will cause more thoughts. When we have a sad thought, it causes a sad feeling. And the sad feeling causes more sad thoughts. We end up looking at life through a veil of sadness, where everything appears sad, and we cannot see what is actually happening in the world. And when we hold on to those feelings in our body, those get stuck in our meridian system and create a block. Our energy system. There's an energy block there. An old belief, an emotion or a feeling getting stuck makes an energy block in our body. And so to release those, when you release a great big one that's causing a block, a lot of little ones will flow out with it as well. When you realize they were all illusional, just thoughts that you held on to for so long because you believed in them. And when you let go of the belief, your signed contract that you're stuck into it, and you realize, oh, it would be a whole lot more freer if I didn't have to live up to other people's expectations. You rip up that contract and start living your life in awareness. I'm just going to do what happens. Mind is consciousness that has put on limitations. You are originally unlimited and perfect. Later, you take on limitations and become the mind. Usually from programming from your parents of what they believed in, the thoughts that they thought were true. They instill into you as a little kid, and they become your beliefs. Until you realize, I don't have to believe in that. That's not really who I wanted to be. I feel like I would express myself differently, but I was trying to live up to others' expectations and started this rat race in my mind and actually became a prisoner of somebody else's beliefs. And just letting go of it all. Taking the chains off, being free to think and be and do with whatever is happening in this present moment, and creating what you want by thinking with positivity, focusing on something of the way you want your new belief system to be. If it's going to believe in something, you're the one in control. You're the one that can change your beliefs. And you don't care what anybody else thinks about it when you do. If you haven't deliberately programmed your mind to think positively, your mind will constantly throw up negative thoughts that belittle and limit you. I shouldn't have done that. What was I thinking? That was really dumb. I'm running out of time. I can't do that. The mind is all no, too late, too early, too fast, too slow. The mind never stops. It's not that the mind is bad. The problem is that it tends to run on automatic, a machine we can't figure out how to turn off. Most of the time, we don't even realize it's running. It's ever-looping content. It's like elevator music, hardly noticed, like background static that's tuned out. Because the mind goes everywhere we go, the temptation to use it is overwhelming. Just like our cell phones. It's like, oh, it goes everywhere I go. I need to look something up and get into my head and get into the phone and not being aware of what's going around me. Because the mind goes everywhere we go, the temptation to use it constantly is overwhelming. It runs simply because it can, like a misapplied hammer. The overactive mind takes random whacks at everything in sight, omitting no opportunity to judge, balk, interpret, identify with, stew over, start a story about. The mind that's running on automatic will also constantly tell you there is lack in your life and the world. Lack of money, lack of health, lack of love, lack of time, lack of resources, and that there's not enough to go around. And if you believe it, that will be what you experience. Fortunately, your mind is also a magnificent tool. Your positive thoughts of what you want can not only turn your life around, but also give you the great happiness and joy. If you only thought about what you wanted, your life would be amazing. But many are caught in the addictive pattern of believing negative thoughts, and it is freeing yourself from this loop of negative thinking that it's needed and can be done quite easily. Your awareness will help set you free. Just being aware stops that loop of negative thinking. Think about what you want. This is what Yoga Nidra is, and living it daily. What is your heartfelt intention? What do you want to have more of? See yourself going in the direction of attaining these goals that you've set. And just send positive thoughts, not like, I don't think that that's going to work. I don't know how this is going to work out. But if you just keep thinking about it in a positive way, staying aware, watch it just fall in front of you. Keep falling in front of you. Symbols of abundance, positivity. Just let it come to you. Welcome it. Catch yourself when you're thinking the negative thought. Whoop, there I was, believing the troublemaker. There's nothing wrong with the mind. The trouble only begins when we believe its negative thoughts. When you feel worried, it's because you're believing worried thoughts. When you feel doubt, it's because you're believing doubtful thoughts. When you feel anxious, upset, disheartened, scared, disappointed, irritated, impatient, revengeful, depressed, hateful, or any negative emotion, it's because you are believing thoughts. And while you hold on to those emotions by continuing to believe your thoughts, your mind will give you even more of the same. A depressed feeling will produce more depressing thoughts, giving you a depressing perspective on people, circumstances, and events, which makes you feel even more depressed. And round it goes. Thought is so cunning, so clever, that it distorts everything for its own convenience. When we believe the mind's negative thoughts, we get pulled into the mind-made movie, and we're guaranteed to experience more stress and suffering. Self-inflicted misery arises when we believe negative thoughts. You are responsible for everything that you feel. They are your feelings. They are your thoughts. You turn them on. You think them, and no one else does but you. And you act as though you have no control. You turn on a faucet that flows in your head and you say, "Oh, somebody's getting me all wet." It's you who's turning on the faucet and getting yourself wet. So your direction should be taking full responsibility for what's happening to you. Then you'll see by looking in the direction of, "I am doing this," that you are. Then you can see that you're torturing yourself. You'll say, "My gosh, how stupid can I be?" And you'll stop. Instead of torturing yourself, you'll make yourself happy. Taking responsibility for everything in our life also means not blaming anyone or anything else for something that happened in the past. And it means not blaming ourselves. Blaming is just another repetitive program in the mind, a belief. I must blame somebody. I gotta blame. The real you never blames. Only the mind blames. What will set you free from the mind's blaming and criticizing ways is understanding that it's your mind that is the sole cause of negative judgments, and to stop believing its negative thoughts. As long as you think that the cause of your problem is out there, as long as you think that anyone or anything is responsible for your suffering, the situation is hopeless. It means that you are forever in the role of victim, that you're suffering in paradise. When we take responsibility for our own life, we no longer allow the ego and mind to play the role of the victim on our behalf. You let go of your victimhood. You actually are grateful for your past bringing you to this moment right here, right now. And you forget it all. It didn't hurt you. It made you who you are. Nothing happened to you. It happened for you. When we take responsibility of our own life, we no longer allow the ego and mind to play the role of victim on our behalf. No thought can dominate that which perceives the thought. Notice what it feels like to realize. Notice that it feels free. This is what stops the unconscious identification with thoughts. This breaks the chain. It's awareness that is aware of your thoughts, and it's awareness that is aware of your emotions. The one who gets upset is not awareness. The real you, the one getting upset, is your mind. Something's not going the way you believe. The one who gets angry, hurt, worried, anxious, or disappointed is not the real you. It's your mind. It only feels like you because you believe your mind is you, and because you believe your mind's thoughts. Like the scrolling text at the bottom of a television, let thinking just pass. If attention is not focusing on the text, then you can be fully present with the whole picture. Freeing yourself of any old beliefs, any old thoughts, any old victimhood feelings, any sadness, realizing it was just you and your mind, where the ego is, making this shit up. Just messing with you, seeing how long we can keep you distracted, seeing how long we can keep you in fear and not in love. Knowing that the ego is full of these little teasing games to keep pulling you back into fear. What are people going to think about me? What if my business goes down? When we'd be more self-fulfilled if we didn't care. Didn't care what people thought about us. Didn't care what happened in your business world. Didn't care what happened in your romantic world. You just don't care because you're just living in the moment. And all the right things will come to you if you let go of all the old beliefs where you labeled something right or wrong. The mind's 3 thoughts. Although our mind arises out of awareness, as everything does, our mind is not an entity or a real thing. Even though it sure seems like it, it's simply a mechanical activity or process, much like a computer program. And just like a computer program, it's repetitive. In fact, it's so repetitive that it only has 3 different kinds of thoughts. The mind measures, compares, and describes. These 3 things are all the mind does over and over and over again. Check yourself with anything you say or whatever thought appears. That thought will either be the mind measuring something, comparing something, or describing something. Even if you're describing it, oh, so pretty, that would mean that there is something to compare it with that was what you perceived as ugly. There's no perception. Take off the lenses of fear and just be with it. It is what it is. They are who they are. I am who I am. And that is all that matters. Your mind measures with thoughts like these. It will take 2 hours to get there. I'm going on vacation in 1 week. How long will it take for my shipment to arrive? I've lost 10 pounds. I don't have enough money. Your mind is comparing when it thinks thoughts like these. I prefer a SUV to a sedan. I like to walk to work instead of taking the bus. She's smarter than me and way more talented. He's going to get the promotion over me, I know it. Look at her. I wish I had her body. He's not the person he used to be. And your mind constantly describes things as if you can't see them. But you can see what's happening in your life very well without your mind's constant commentating. And in fact, that non-stop chattering prevents you from seeing the world as it really is. Our attention focuses mostly on thinking. We become trapped in the interpretations that we make and miss out on the fullness of living. The mind makes something of everything that comes along. This has become the default mode. So much that it little occurs to us that it could be otherwise. The mind really could forego the making of something of everything that comes along. nor does it occur to us that the making something that keeps the mind so enthralled is the actual cause of suffering. We keep thinking it's the stuff that happens in our life that causes suffering. So, this is where you realize, oh my gosh, I've done it all to myself. I'm the one who has perceived something right or wrong. And you almost have to laugh at yourself. You almost have to say, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I guess I was pretty darn adorable thinking that I believed the beliefs I had. And once I stopped, all this beauty appeared in my life. When your mind is describing something, it's telling a story. It's an interpretation of the world and reality. It's imagined. Many of the mind's fabricated stories are about you, and if you believe those stories, can not only cause you stress and suffering, but also greatly limit your life. When you believe a negative story, your life will turn that into a story. Your mind spins up a negative story about you. You add the power of belief to it, and then your mind projects it into the world for you to experience it. It does it with thoughts like these. I'm overwhelmed. I just can't seem to get on top of things. I'm no good with money. It seems to slip through my fingers. This disease runs in our family. I've got a big problem. I can't get past the trauma of it. It will affect me for the rest of my life. We were together for years. He was the love of my life, so I'll never get over him. One of our biggest lies our mind has convinced us of is the story that we are a body and a mind. Two different. And because we believed it, it has become our experience. We feel vulnerable, fearful, and what might happen to us or others, helpless against life's events and circumstances. And if that isn't enough, many of us are also burdened with the belief that life will come to an end for us when the body dies. It's ironic. The real you, the infinite awareness that you really are, is the direct opposite of that story the mind has told you. If you take the way it works, a human being wakes up in the morning and for the first moment there's just stillness. And then there's a rearrangement of the mind. The mind kicks in and starts saying, what have I got to do today? How old am I? What are my problems? How am I going to stop all these things going wrong? There is a complete identification with the story. You pull your boots on and off you go again. I know that if I had a bad day the day before and I go to bed and I wake up in the morning and it's just a little foggy yet, I just kind of don't know where I'm at. I'm in between sleep and wake. And it's this theta brain state that we're in right now, where I could program my body to have a fantastic, positive, bright, energy-filled day, or a relaxing day, or I could program myself to go back to the stuff that I was struggling over yesterday and make myself mad first thing in the morning when I realize, oh yeah, I was mad yesterday. I was so mad. I'm going to be mad. It is our choice right then to have a brand new day. To let go of those old beliefs that we've carried through, woke up, rearranged our thinking, and like, oh yeah, that was a bad deal. I forgot. I was so upset about that. Guess what you're going to have more of? Another story our mind has convinced us of is the story about time. Time is a very convenient tool that enables us to work from the same calendar and clock so that we can coordinate our lives with each other, with everything that's happening in the world. But as Einstein discovered, time is relative. Ultimately, there's really no such thing as time. Time is an illusion, a mental concept created by the mind. If you try to get your hands on time, it's always slipping through your fingers. People are sure time is there, but they can't get a hold of it. My feeling is that they can't get a hold of it because it isn't there at all, just like our thoughts. All that really exists is this present moment, and try as you might, you will not be able to find any event or circumstance that happened at any other time than the present moment. That is just showing you that the awareness of the present moment is all there is. Hanging out in the past, being afraid of the future, is taking you out of is, taking you out of what really is, distracting you, getting out of the flow of good, smooth running energy. Try and find any evidence of the past without thought. Try as hard as you can to find any past apart from the current thought of it. It's impossible. And now try to find the future without thought. Try really hard. It's not possible to find any evidence of the past or the future without thought. So like saying, I got this when I was 10 years old, or you're labeling it. If you could just have it right there in front of you and just be aware of it and not label it, then you're in the moment with it. Go back to in your memory when you first rode your bike as a kid. When you were actually riding your bike, you were riding it in the past. Or were you riding the bike in the present moment? When you woke up in the morning, this morning, did you wake up in the past or did you wake up in the present moment? The past and future cannot be experienced. They can only be mentally processed. Past and future exists only in the form of thought. That is so huge. It's also just another thought. The only evidence we have of the Earth's past is rocks and fossils. But these are just stable structures in the form of an arrangement of minerals we examine in the present. The point is, all we have are these records, and you only have them in this now. When I was first told that time doesn't exist, my mind went crazy with all kinds of thoughts, trying to prove that time does exist. Like, what about old buildings? Aren't they proof there's a past? But when I really examined it, I realized that when the buildings were built, they were built in the present moment. And if I'm standing looking at the old building, I'm also looking at it in the present moment. And anyone who has looked at the same building also looked at it in the present moment. Eventually, as I examined each thought that came up trying to prove time is real, I saw that every one of them was false because there is only the present moment. So let's come into this present moment. Come into our positive thoughts. letting go of all the thoughts, even the positive ones. Just totally let go of any labeling or judging. Just feel yourself laying on the floor right now. Just neutral. Feel this very peaceful feeling of not forcing or resisting in any way, just being here right now. Coming back into the breath, coming back into the room, coming back into the body, and wiggling your fingers and toes. Let go of any judgments, labels, descriptions, measurements, comparisons. Just stretch. Just be in this moment stretching. Feel this freedom from your thoughts. There is no mind. Just awareness. Try to practice full-on awareness of what you're experiencing right now. Feel this peaceful, calm, released feeling of not having to label or judge. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And roll on your side. And push snooze and let it sink in. Back into that half awake, half asleep state. Sort of touch on the heartfelt intention that you want to have come to you in your life and focus on that. And realizing you have just let tons of storage room come available in your mind, your body, letting go of all those old thoughts. It's very hard to totally let go of it completely. Just feel the freeness inside of you by letting go of all those old files. And coming up into a sitting position with this slap happy face of, that's so nice. We'll bring our hands together and we'll feel our fingers touching each other. Feel the connection. Feel your thumbs touching. Open up the palms and just look inside your hands. And make a wish for a heartfelt intention, something you firmly intend on having happen. Tip your forehead and honor it. Believe it can happen. We can believe about bad things and they just keep on coming, or we could believe in what it is that we want to have happen. And since we can only think one thought at a time, let's think forward and good. And honoring each other for our forward and good thinking, our space making, our deleting of old programs, and the freeness of being in this moment. And just know that I honor you guys so much right here, right now. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.